The gravel crunched under Claire's boots as she walked deeper into the forgotten maze of rust and steel. Heat shimmered above the hoods of dead cars, and the air was thick with the smell of iron, oil, and sunburnt weeds. Every step she took stirred up faint puffs of dust, and the cicadas hummed lazily in the trees that ringed the junkyard. Her eyes found it before her mind was ready. The RV. It sat half-hidden in the corner like a wounded animal, swallowed by time and ivy. Its paint, once bright cream with bold brown stripes, was now nothing but flaking scabs of rust. Long vines twisted up its grill and snaked across the windshield, as if nature had been trying for years to keep it from ever moving again. The front bumper sagged, dented from some long-forgotten collision. Claire stopped a few feet away, her chest tightening. For a moment, she almost turned back. This wasn't just another vehicle left to rot. This was the RV. The one her father had bought when she was 10. The one he promised would take them across the country, all the way to the ocean, kiddo. She could still remember his excitement the day he parked it outside their small house, grinning as though he had bought a castle. He had let her climb into the driver's seat, her small hands gripping the oversized steering wheel as he snapped a picture. She had believed him then, believed in every word, every promise. But the trip never happened. Her father had gotten sick, too quickly, too fiercely. The RV sat unused, collecting dust in the driveway until her mother finally sold it. Claire hadn't seen it since. And now here it was, decades later, reduced to a relic among strangers' wreckage. She swallowed hard and stepped closer. The weeds brushed against her jeans, their green a cruel reminder of how alive everything else still was while this machine had been left to die. She reached out, her fingers brushing the rough metal of the door. Flecks of rust came off on her skin. It felt both foreign and heartbreakingly familiar. Claire closed her eyes, trying to breathe. The junkyard around her was silent except for the faint rattle of leaves and the distant cry of a crow. Somewhere nearby, an engine sputtered from a car being moved, but it faded quickly, leaving her alone again with the RV. She imagined, just for a heartbeat, that it might come alive. That the windshield would clear, the vines would slither away, and her father's laugh would echo from inside. But when she opened her eyes, it was still the same, dead, rusting, forgotten. She leaned her forehead against the cool, rough metal of the door. "Hey, Dad," she whispered, barely audible. Claire pulled the handle of the RV door, but it didn't budge. The hinges groaned faintly, locked by years of rust and neglect. She pressed harder, feeling the metal resist, until finally it gave way with a sharp screech. Dust drifted out like a sigh, and the smell of mildew and old fabric hit her instantly. She hesitated at the threshold. Shadows clung to the inside, broken only by thin shafts of daylight piercing through cracks in the panels. She ducked under the low frame and stepped in, boots sinking slightly into the damp carpet. The air was heavy with the weight of forgotten years. Her eyes adjusted slowly, revealing the familiar outline of a cramped kitchen to the left, tiny stove, rust-stained sink, cupboards hanging slightly off their hinges. To the right, the small dining booth where she and her father had once eaten sandwiches during the RV's only test drive. The cushions were torn now, foam spilling out like wounded flesh. Claire ran her hand across the table. The surface was sticky with dust, and when she pulled her hand back, her fingers left behind clean streaks like ghostly fingerprints. She imagined her father sitting across from her, grinning over a deck of cards. He'd taught her poker there, or at least tried to, but she'd been more interested in sneaking cookies from the cupboard. Her throat tightened. She moved further inside. The narrow hallway led past the tiny bathroom, its mirror cracked, the sink rust-streaked. At the back of the RV, the bed remained, though the mattress had collapsed inward, springs jutting up like bones. She sat on the edge, the frame groaning under her weight, and for a moment, it felt like sitting on the edge of a memory. She closed her eyes and let herself drift back. Her father's voice filled her head, deep, warm, full of the kind of certainty children cling to. "This old rig will take us anywhere we want, Claire Bear. Mountains, deserts, oceans, name it, and we'll go." She had believed him. She had dreamed of beaches where the sand sparkled like sugar, of red canyons stretching beyond sight, of campfires glowing under skies freckled with stars. She had believed they would see it all together. But then came the coughing fits, the hospital visits, the whispers between adults that she wasn't meant to hear. And the RV stayed parked, unmoving, while her father faded before her eyes. Tears welled up, blurring the rotting interior. She pressed the heel of her hand against her eyes, angry at herself for breaking down, but the silence of the RV demanded honesty. Here, in this hollowed-out shell of promises, she couldn't pretend. The junkyard outside hummed faintly, a reminder that life went on, that cars came and went, that people moved forward. But inside this RV, time was frozen. Claire exhaled shakily. She reached into her pocket and pulled out the photo she had brought, the one of her as a child behind the steering wheel, her father's arm draped proudly around her shoulder. She set it gently on the dusty table. "This was supposed to be ours," she whispered. The RV gave no answer, but in the silence, she thought she heard the faint echo of his laughter, carried on the dust.